From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5:30, streaming now.
Now at 5:30 on WRTV, high COVID activity prompted a ban on elective surgeries. Now a cautious lifting of the ban for now, why state leaders are still wary of what's next. And it's a scam that ramps up during the holidays, preying on hopeful families, but it continues throughout the year. The warning signs to watch for in this puppy fraud.
Topping our lineup, disinfectant wipes and sprays have been in high demand. But with everything that we've learned about COVID, should we still be doing all that cleaning? We're getting answers. A new treatment for people suffering from PTSD and severe nightmares is emerging, and it's done without medication. A look at how the treatment works with a smartwatch and who's available to get it right now. The end of the year is typically a good time to get a deal on a new car. We're looking at what's changing, though, because of the pandemic and where you should still look to save.
New today, the recent statewide ban on non-emergent surgeries is now lifted. Governor Eric Holcomb made the announcement in his weekly briefing. The moratorium on elective surgeries was meant to alleviate stress and strain on hospitals and healthcare workers as they dealt with overwhelming numbers of COVID patients. Holcomb said they'd be carefully monitoring the numbers, and he could choose to renew the executive order to cancel all those surgeries again. State leaders acknowledge there has been a slight drop in COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations, but they say they expect cases to rise again in the next few weeks. You will not be allowed to ring in the new year inside of a bar, club, or a restaurant in Marion County. The county health department is ordering all establishments that provide in-person food or drinks to close indoor dining and drink service and clear customers between midnight and 5 a.m. Carry-out service will still be allowed. The Fishers Health Department is taking similar steps to limit public New Year's Eve celebrations. Indoor drinking and dining is restricted from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. through January 8th. Health leaders say staying home and celebrating virtually is the safest choice this year. Kyle.
And you know, Mark, the weather may not be that great as we head into New Year's Day. Right now, I want to show you the view there in Greencastle, and we've been watching a little bit of that transition starting to take shape from rain to a few snowflakes that have started to mix in here. Radar shows where we've got that band of some snow shower activity stretching back through Rockville into portions of Boone County now as it's all making its way slowly to the south and east. Not expecting to see this add up to a whole lot for us, though, as we go through the next few hours. There you can see a few of those snow showers through Frankfort, limiting visibility for a little time. There's a look at that snow potential, though. We're really talking about ½ inch or less now that the sun is setting, and I think that's going to be mainly on some of those grassy areas. The winds, they have turned now out of the northwest, that colder direction at about 10 to 15 miles per hour, even 20 mile per hour wind for you in the Muncie area right now. And there we actually start to see a few more of those snowflakes mixing in Greencastle with your temperature 36 in Indy, 32 right at that freezing mark in Kokomo. As we go through the next few hours here, temperatures kind of bounce around in the lower 30s with that mix of rain and snow showers coming up. We've got another system to let you know about that could bring a little bit of a mess heading into 2021.
The UK is the first country to approve a new COVID vaccine developed by Oxford and AstraZeneca. The shot is less expensive and easier to distribute than other approved vaccines. Before its approval, researchers had said its efficacy rate was only 70%, which is not as high as Pfizer and Moderna's. AstraZeneca began distributing the first doses today, and vaccinations in the UK will begin in 2021. The UK has already started vaccinations with the Pfizer vaccine, but instead of focusing on the second dose, it will focus on giving as many people as they can their first dose. And this comes as scientists worry about the scarcity of vaccines, as well as a winter surge in infections and a rising death toll. Proving you're vaccinated against COVID-19 could be as easy as pulling out your phone in the future. This week, one company started giving a digital vaccine record to people who are getting the shot in Los Angeles County. Healthvana is partnering with the county to help make sure people get both doses of the vaccine. The company is also talking with other states to bring this technology there.
And right now, that's the status quo, is you'll get a piece of paper that'll say, hey, you got a Pfizer vaccination, come back in this amount of days. And we think it's a complementary feature to have something that goes onto your phone in a way that you can kind of capture.
People have to opt in to get vaccine information digitally, and then they enter their name and birth date into the Healthvana system to get access. From there, they can screenshot their vaccine record on their phone or put it into their Apple Wallet.
You can use it when you want to use it. As a patient or as a person, you may want to use it to show your school an airline if they require it, or an employer. So it's very much, our whole goal in this is to make sure we get the information to the patient in a way they can have it at their fingertips.
The company says this is not an immunity passport like some people have been talking about. That's because they don't know yet who's going to accept this digital record from your phone. But they tell us everyone from event planning companies to airlines and universities have contacted them about using the technology. Healthvana says it has experience keeping private health information secure from its years of delivering HIV test results to patients. It stores its data on Amazon Web Services, HIPAA-compliant servers. Still ahead in our lineup, plenty of people have bought up disinfecting wipes and cleaning supplies, but are they really needed? We go to an expert for the latest advice on cleaning surfaces during the pandemic.
Galleries, live life comfortably.
Right now on WRTV, today many people are honoring and celebrating the life of Officer Breanne Leith, who would have been 25 years old on this day. Her department, Indianapolis Metropolitan Police, sent out a message thanking her for her service and sacrifice. Quote, "Our thoughts and prayers are with your family and friends today and every day." Officer Leith was well known throughout the community for her compassion and empathetic spirit. She was killed in the line of duty responding to a domestic violence call in April of this year.
Hospitals and insurers will soon have to disclose the actual prices of some tests and procedures. This after a federal judge ruled in favor of the Trump administration yesterday. The American Hospital Association had challenged the plan. It argued disclosing those privately negotiated prices won't help patients understand what they will actually pay, but the White House says it will help increase transparency. The rule goes into effect Friday. At the beginning of the pandemic, disinfecting wipes were a coveted item and difficult to find. Well, today they're finally making their way back to store shelves. But how much do we really need to be disinfecting surfaces? Microbiologists say that the coronavirus doesn't usually survive on surfaces.
You actually go into hospitals where they're treating COVID-19 patients and you check the surfaces and there's no infectious virus, none.
Whenever the coronavirus is found on a surface, it's usually the RNA. Think of it as like a corpse or skeleton of the virus. It usually means that the virus is no longer there and that it's unlikely that you will become infected by touching that surface. Dr. Emmanuel Goldman says because of that, it's not really necessary to constantly disinfect surfaces. Instead, we should focus on other preventative measures like hygiene.
Really, all you need to do is wash your hands, because even if you happen to touch something, it doesn't go through your skin of your fingers. You wash your hands and you're done with it.
Dr. Goldman reminds people to remember the 3 W's: wear a mask, watch your distance, and wash your hands. More to get to on our lineup. A new treatment for people suffering from PTSD and severe nightmares is emerging. How an app could be the answer. Social isolation has taken a massive toll on our mental health this year. Those in the trans community, people born one gender but who identify with a different gender, are facing some unique struggles because of the pandemic. Chris Conti takes a closer look at how some physicians are trying to make sure that no one slips through the cracks.
It has not been an easy year for most of us, but some are struggling more with the isolation of 2020 than others.
There's a lot right now that we're unable to control.
That is Randall Leonard, a staff therapist at Chase Brexton, a healthcare collaborative in Maryland that has staff dedicated to helping those in the trans community.
A lot of my patients have seen that additional anxiety about COVID right now.
Randall doesn't identify with either gender. That's non-binary, and says this gives unique insight into what some of the office's patients are experiencing right now.
There's so many people, too, that are now, they were practicing going outside and being, especially with trans people, being, themselves and being visible. And now so many of them are just, insulated inside their homes.
We're not as much of a community as we were before.
Dr. Elise Pine is a physician who specializes in trans youth issues. She's seen this school year present its own problems for her patients. Many trans youth are actually more comfortable at home, away from school environments where they might be bullied. But for others, the isolation of virtual learning has been tough.
They're home and they're isolated and can't meet with friends anymore, and it's been very, very difficult in terms of depression and anxiety, and just struggling.
Perhaps her biggest concern, though, an increase in patients dealing with severe depression. The CDC says 1 in 4 young adults has struggled with suicidal thoughts since the coronavirus hit.
And having so much isolation is very difficult. There aren't other people who have an eye on you who could say, hey, something's different. You don't look, you don't look the same. You look off. Are you okay? And kind of offering that mental health support.
Her advice to anyone struggling right now, find someone to talk to. If you're a parent with a child who's struggling, make sure they have an outlet where they feel safe.
I'm trying to get people connected however we can.
A critical part of managing the pressure of this pandemic. I'm Chris Conti.
Hundreds of families may have gotten a holiday puppy this year, but others have ended up empty-handed and disappointed, ripped off by a puppy scam. Consumer reporter John Matarese is taking a look at this kind of scam, which can carry throughout the year, so you don't waste your money.
Looking for a pandemic puppy or a New Year's puppy? Well, we have a warning that cute little pup you find online may be a scam to steal your heart and your money. Penny Lloyd wanted to buy her kids a Yorkshire Terrier puppy, a Yorkie, this Christmas.
It was for a Christmas gift.
She found an ad on Facebook offering discount puppies.
I seen this advertisement on Facebook. I opened up the app and looked at it, and it said, Yorkies for sale, half price, originally $1,400. On sale for $700.
So she messaged the seller.
I never got any response.
Good thing she never heard back. There's a good chance it was a scammer who would have asked for a deposit, as one did to Joe Standridge last year. She wired $400 via Western Union to a website, now gone, called bestminischnauzers.com. That was the end of the seller and her puppy dreams.
Called him, couldn't get through. That was the end of the communications.
The puppy scam's been around for about 5 years, but the Better Business Bureau says this year it's getting worse and worse because so many people want either a pandemic puppy or a holiday puppy.
So it's very easy for scammers to steal videos and pictures of pets from the internet.
Sarah Kemmer of the Better Business Bureau says photos of real puppies get reposted at counterfeit websites. But the pups are always out of town, and the seller will ask for hundreds of dollars for shipping and insurance. So what can you do? She says ask for video of the seller with the pup.
Ask the breeder to do a video call using Zoom, FaceTime, and you can see if them, along with that pet, is actually real.
Chances are Penny's Yorkshire seller would have refused. The best way to avoid a puppy scam, shop local breeders or adopt a dog from a shelter so you don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese, WRTV.
Well, now let's take a check of the Weather Now camera as we look from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway back to the city skyline, and you can see a little fuzzy appearance there as we are starting to see that rain-snow line getting a little bit closer here toward the city. There you can see through portions of Hendricks County, Boone County at this point, dealing with a few of those snowflakes mixing in. Again, not going to add up to much of anything for us, but certainly may limit the visibility out there for a time this evening. Temperatures right now, they're down to 36 in Indy while you're at 46, 10 degrees warmer in the Columbus area right now. So we're going to continue to kind of squeeze out that warmer air, the cold stuff that's sitting off across the northern plains, and that's going to be scooting in here as we go into your Thursday and New Year's Eve. We've got temperatures that will be in the 20s here through the first half of the day, only into the lower 30s as we'll keep rather cloudy skies going here, but not expecting to see any precipitation there. It changes early on New Year's Day, though. This is TrueCast at 5:30 in the morning. See this pink that develops on the radar here, indicating potential for some freezing rain as we go through the first half of the day on Friday. So we may see some icy conditions develop before warmer temperatures take over and things begin to warm up a little bit. On Friday, a late day high of 50. We'll be in the lower 40s there on Saturday as that system has moved out. May see a few snow showers on Sunday. Overall, though, things will quiet down after Friday with highs in the middle 40s next week.
Following years of research and clinical trials, a new treatment is becoming available to disrupt nightmares triggered by post-traumatic stress disorder. But it's not a medicine. It's a prescription-only Apple Watch app. Usher Qureshi has more on how the low-risk treatment uses algorithms to help ensure a good night's sleep.
21 years in the U.S. Army with deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan, Robert Geddes saw a lot of action.
Probably 278 out of 365 days in Afghanistan, we were attacked.
Faith and commitment to his soldiers, he says, got him through it, but the war was far from over. Diagnosed with severe post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety, night terrors invaded his sleep.
Finally, I just got to the point, I'm like, I can't go like this. I can't go with 2-3 hours sleeping after 3 months.
He's not alone. According to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, nightmares are one of 17 symptoms of PTSD. And of those diagnosed, 71 to 96% have nightmares. Dr. Kathy Goldstein is an associate professor of neurology at the University of Michigan who specializes in sleep disruption.
That's just something, when I was a physician at the VA, that I found very disturbing, is that they were so fearful of these nightmares and these experiences that they didn't even want to go to sleep.
After years of treating his sleepless nights with medications, Geddes joined an innovative study that uses a smartwatch app called Nightwear to disrupt nightmares.
The platform profiles a person's sleep and at that point can detect when a nightmare is occurring and intervenes by buzzing the watch at increasing intensity to arouse the sleeper from the nightmare without waking them.
It takes about 10 days for the app's artificial intelligence to learn how to interpret an individual's changes in heart rate and body motion that indicate a nightmare is in progress. The microarousals are strong enough to take someone out of the nightmare without waking them.
There was no increase in sleepiness seen in the small study that was done. I'd like to see bigger studies, and I'd like to see specific patient populations and some objective sleep data, as well as what we have now.
Now, the only FDA-approved non-pharmacological treatment for nightmares, Nightwear is in the midst of a larger-scale clinical study as it rolls out to market, first focusing on the VA and the Department of Defense.
3 to 4 hours sleep before, and now it's 7 to 8, sometimes 9 hours. Uninterrupted sleep.
For Geddes, the app has been life and sleep altering.
This is an investment that could save your life, could save your marriage, and just do so much good for you.
The Nightwear package will be available by prescription to the general public in 2021, but it's still unclear how quickly commercial insurance will cover it. In Chicago, I'm Usher Qureshi reporting.
Airlines gave credits to many travelers who had to cancel their plans this year. If you're hoping to redeem them in 2021, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind. We spoke to Laura Mata, the editorial director of a travel website. She says it's most important to pay attention to time limits on when you can book another flight.
These credits are going to be expiring at some point in 2021. Some of the airlines have gone into 2022 with this. But just make sure that you understand when your credits are expiring so that you can use them in time.
United has offered 2 types of credits: a travel credit, which acts like a bank to book flights until you've reached the price of your original flight, or a flight credit, which can only be used once. If the flight is less expensive than your original trip, you lose the rest of your money. If it's more expensive, you pay the difference.
It's not a situation where the airline is going to say, oh, don't worry, you can just have that way more expensive ticket. They're not going to do that.
American Airlines currently has 3 kinds of travel credits, but plans to soon phase out its paper vouchers. Unlike United's more restrictive option, with American, if you rebook for a cheaper flight, you'll get the difference in trip credit. Others like Southwest and Delta have pretty simple terms for credits, and Alaska Airlines is also offering to convert the price of a flight you can't make into miles.
We really wish that more airlines would do this. Just giving people flexibility is really great. But so far, they're the only airline to do it. So we'll see if other airlines follow.
Mata says airlines are trying to figure out timelines of when the majority of people will feel safe to travel again. So it's possible that they'll offer extensions on deadlines or more deals to bring travelers back, but there's no guarantee. Finally, in our lineup, if you're looking to get a new car at the end of 2020, we're looking at what you need to know to save the most.
Payments, no interest for 12 months.
The end of the year is normally a good time to get a deal on a car, but as with so many other things, that's not really the case this year. An industry expert tells us it has to do with how wild the market has been all around. Less used cars have been available, and manufacturers haven't been able to make as many new cars after shutting down their facilities.
When it comes to, typical year-end sales, if we're not making as many vehicles, they don't need to clear out their inventory. There's no, hey, that next model year's coming, blow out sales. They don't have to incentivize those sales as much. You're not going to see as much 0% APR, $5,000 off offers like that.
Ivan Drury of Edmonds says car buyers are usually looking for current year models, which tend to have the biggest discounts. Normally, they'd be widely available well into March. Now he expects them to be scooped up in January. Drury says you'll likely still get a deal. It just won't be as big of a discount compared to years past. With demand so high and inventory so low, he says that you should act fast, but still do your research. Compromising on a car could cost you big if you're just going to trade it in a year later.
Really buy what you want. But at the same time, don't hesitate if you got to go one trim level higher and it's a little more money, because if that means you're going to keep it for another year or 2 years, it's going to be so much more worth it.
Drury also recommends getting multiple offers when looking to trade in the car that you already have. Online car buying services or dealers will still buy your car outright, even if you're not buying a different one from them. Also, offers can vary by thousands of dollars. New automatic braking systems have been installed on almost 60,000 miles of railroad track. This was required to be done by the end of the year. The $15 billion system will automatically stop trains in certain situations to help reduce human error. The Energy Department is being sued over a rule that allows faster dishwashers. Activists filed the lawsuit saying the faster cycles could lead to higher household utility bills and more pollution. Scoliosis surgery in children and young adults usually involves fusing bones together, but a new type of surgery allows patients to have a better range of motion. Tomorrow, I'll show you how this process works and why it's a game changer for so many patients.
We've shown you that snow moving through parts of central Indiana on radar. Now want to look at that visibility, and there you can pick out where the snow is falling. About 1.5 miles visibility in Kokomo right now, under 1 mile in Frankfort. So that's really what we're going to be concerned with here as we go through the next couple of hours. A brief reduction in some of that visibility. But the snow will be out of here, and temperatures will start to warm up on New Year's Day, 50 with a wintry mix to start things off. Thanks for joining us at 5:30.